We have a new king, Charles III, but what happens if he gets sick or goes on tour abroad? In that eventuality, one of his family members will step in to perform essential duties. They're what's called his councillors of state, and essentially they're stand-in monarchs. According to the palace website, councillors of state are authorised to carry out most of the official duties of the sovereign. For example, attending Privy Council meetings, signing routine documents, and receiving the credentials of new ambassadors to the United Kingdom. Normally, they would be the sovereign's spouse, plus the next 4 members in the line of succession over the age of 21. And now, third in line to the throne over the age of 21 is none other than Prince Andrew. You might remember Andrew avoiding a New York civil case for the sexual assault of Virginia Giuffre while she was a minor. He paid her an estimated £12 million to go away. He was also good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, a paedophile and multiple sexual abuser who died while awaiting trial on a number of charges, and he was close chums with Epstein's sex trafficking sidekick, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is now serving a 20-year prison sentence in the US. Now, there's the possibility this man could be called up to step in for the king. After a settlement, obviously, with Giuffre, you will know that Andrew was banished from public life. He no longer used the title His Royal Highness, and he was stripped of his honorary military roles and affiliations. But he still remained one of the Queen's councillors. Charles has decided this is a situation which may continue. Owen, lots has been made of the fact that, Andrew is supposed to be stepping back from public life. He walks behind the funeral processions in a suit instead of in military gear. I've never really understood why the others wear military gear, because as far as I know, they've never really fought in the military. They just get handed it by the Queen. Anyway, he's lost his. He could still be our stand-in king when Prince Charles goes abroad. It doesn't look very good, does it?
No, I mean, look, practically is unlikely that would happen, I think, because the outrage would be so overwhelming it could actually just destabilize the monarchy. I think, they're not stupid, the monarchy, not completely stupid. They have endured for centuries because they've recognized how to survive in evolving times and keep people like you and I with our Republican views marginalized quite successfully. They have the establishment, obviously, to help them do that. But nonetheless, he's clearly their big Achilles heel. He's someone, obviously, who was close to a paedophile. He's someone who's paid out to a survivor of sexual violence, money that was handed to him, partly bailed out by the dead Queen. I'm sorry if some people find that distressing to point out facts. You should not speak ill of the dead. Well, you should certainly speak the truth, because otherwise history gets rewritten and revised. And that has pretty devastating consequences in terms of accountability and making sure things don't happen over and over and over again, which they tend to do because the establishment do, unfortunately, get away with anything. And that's the point about the establishment. It's a permanent kind of welfare state for the rich. You can never fall out of it. You always have some levels of protection. Obviously, Andrew will always have huge wealth and affluence beyond the dreams of the vast majority of humanity, but he also has certain public privileges which have not been stripped away. Some people will say, well, look, there's exceptions here. Everyone should be able to mourn their parents. Even prisoners who've committed heinous crimes are generally allowed to have mourning for those close to them, those they love, their parents, for example. But the fact is, he is being granted certain public roles and theoretically has potentially a sweeping public role, which, the fact that that's still even theoretically possible just shows that the idea that these sorts of accusations ruin men's lives. Well, look at him on national television with all that pomp and still potentially a standing king. I think there are limits to that, aren't there? And I think this just goes to show that powerful men who are accused of terrible crimes can get away still with pretty much anything. They can still retain their privileges, some of their theoretical powers. And I think that sends from the monarchy a pretty distressing lesson to many survivors of sexual violence in this country.